Ever get that feeling, when you're watching an old favorite, a real classic, and you think, man, they just don't make them like they used to.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
something's missing. I think we all have that one movie, maybe a whole era of film,
Right.
where we just go back for that certain something.
Absolutely.
And it got us thinking, especially after reading through all your thoughts on this,
Mhm.
is there really nothing new under the Hollywood sun? Have we hit peak movie magic and it's all downhill from here?
Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? You've definitely hit on something that comes up a lot, this sense of nostalgia for a certain period of filmmaking. It's like each generation kind of carries that with them, you know?
Right, like those movies become part of how you see the world almost.
Exactly, like cultural timestamps. But in your words, you were talking about feeling like post, was it 2014?
Yeah, around then.
It's like
So,
it's been all sequels and reboots, right?
right,
Lacking that original spark.
exactly. So from an expert standpoint, is this just a feeling, or are the numbers actually backing this up? Are there objectively more remakes than original films coming out these days?
You know, it's tempting to look at the sheer volume of reboots and sequels and say, yep, Hollywood's gone stale.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, there's definitely been a surge. But it's a bit more nuanced than just saying one era is all originals and now it's all rehashes.
Okay, so what are we missing? What's the nuance here?
Well, think about it. Even those golden ages had their fair share of sequels and franchises. Take the 80s, for example,
Mm,
often hailed as this blockbuster boom. But you had Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, all cranking out sequels right alongside those iconic originals. Our memories tend to romanticize the past a little.
so true. We forget all those sequels that maybe weren't as good.
Exactly. And on top of that, what we consider the best is subjective,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
What wows one generation might not land the same way for another. A film that broke new ground in the 70s might feel dated to someone who grew up on a steady diet of CGI-fueled superhero epics.
You make a good point. It's all about what you grew up with, what shaped your own cinematic language.
Precisely. And even those groundbreaking films, they often draw inspiration from somewhere. Archetypes, storytelling structures, those have been around for centuries. It's a cycle of reimagining and reinterpreting as much as it is inventing something wholly new.
That's a really good point. It's like there's this thread connecting all films through time.
Absolutely, it's a tapestry, right?
Yeah. But I got to ask, even with all the sequels and reboots, even with trends coming and going, I'm willing to bet you've still seen films recently that felt fresh, like they were breaking new ground.
Oh, absolutely. Just because there are cycles doesn't mean the creativity's gone. You just have to know where to look.
Exactly. So give us some examples. What are some films that really bucked the trend, that prove great movies are still being made today?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That movie was just, whoa. The premise alone is mind-bending, but the way it's shot, the editing, the way it tackles these really complex themes of family and identity, pure innovation.
I've heard nothing but good things about that one.
It sticks with you. And then you have something like Parasite from South Korea. Talk about defying expectations. A genre-bending masterpiece that took the world by storm. Social commentary wrapped in a thriller. Unpredictable twists and turns.
Man, Parasite.
Uh,
That movie sparked so many conversations.
right. And those are just two examples off the top of my head. There are tons more out there proving that film is alive and well. Maybe just not always in the way we expect.
I love that. So if these amazing films are out there, why do people still cling to this idea that the golden age is gone? Is it just rose-colored glasses, that nostalgia factor you mentioned earlier?
Nostalgia definitely plays a huge part, no doubt. That first film that truly captivates you, it sets a bar. It's hard to replicate that feeling.
You're chasing that high.
Exactly. But there's more to it. The way we watch movies now is completely different. We've got streaming services throwing thousands of titles at us. It's overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. It's the paradox of choice. Too much of a good thing.
Exactly. Finding those gems, those films that resonate on a deeper level, it takes effort. And the theatrical experience, while still important, isn't the only way we consume movies anymore. That shift changes how films are made, how we view them, how we decide what's good.
It's like the whole playing field has changed.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us? What are we supposed to take away from all this?
Well, I think the main takeaway is this. Incredible films are still being made. We might just have to look a little harder to find them.
We can't be afraid to dig a little deeper.
Exactly. And it's important to remember, our view of the past is always colored by our experiences in the present.
That's a really interesting thought. So to wrap up this deep dive, if the way we watch movies today shapes how we view the past, What does that mean for the future of film?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Will filmmakers try to chase that old magic, or will they adapt, evolve with the times? What new ways of telling stories will emerge? Lots to think about there.
No easy answers, that's for sure. But one thing's certain, the evolution of cinema. It's far from over. Who knows what cinematic wonders await us down the line?
I can't wait to find out.
Me neither.